to the world.
There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With over 140 channels in your vehicle, your all-access trial includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to this final CMA Connected presented by SiriusXM of 2021. I'm your host, Ben Wu. And on this final lunchtime learning session, we've got a special one because it's kind of a little bit of a wrap-up show. We're going to celebrate all our great customers that we've had, all our Canadian distributors for the brands, and of course, our main partner in crime, SiriusXM. Because really, this has been a year that has been like no other. We all know this, but especially here at CMA, we've had the opportunity to bring to you content which was unique, which was educational, which was training in a time where we didn't really know how to communicate with one another or connect with one another. So I'm happy to say that through this entire adventure, I want to thank you, the audience, for tuning in, especially for this one. So if you're grabbing your lunch, sit back. We're going to have a really great show ahead of you. We're going to cover some great stuff when it comes to SiriusXM to kind of reinforce why this is such an important brand for all you dealers out there. And more importantly, to celebrate the year that has passed in 2021. Look forward to what's coming down the pipe for 2022. So to do that, of course, I'm going to bring on our partner in crime, quite literally, because without him, we simply wouldn't be here under SiriusXM CMA. His name is Ricky Lima. What's going on, Ricky?
Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho. The holidays are amongst us.
Getting ready for the holiday season. The kids are wrapping up their last day of school. And as for myself, I'll be wrapping up my 2021 as I'll be off for a couple of weeks. Although my finger will always be on the pulse with what's going on in the retail world. But certainly looking forward to some time off. Why am I not... Who is that? Who just popped that
Conrad.
one up?
Of course it's Conrad. Course. He's like, why wasn't I not invited to this final party? But anyhow,
oh Lord,
we love you, Conrad.
Don't worry, Conrad. We got some pens in the mail for you.
Ricky, yeah. I had a hard time even blurting out the words final connected of the year. Like, I did some math. Check this out. Almost 300 broadcasts this year, brother.
That's insane. That's
insane.
and you know, the fact that SiriusXM could be a part of all that certainly has been a blessing, you know, because we always want to be there to support the industry, to support the distributors, to support the dealers. But it's a lot of work, you know, so my hat's off to you.
Well, we hats right back at you. We wouldn't have been done it without you.
And to Sheldon and everybody that's, you know, played a part in this. It takes a lot of work, and especially in the environment that we've had back in 2020 and into 2021. It certainly was difficult, but at least we, you know, have made the most of it with such a tremendous platform that we have here with CMA to continue the education, to continue the promotions, the learning, everything. So again, my hat's off to you and to the team.
Well, thank you so much. And on that note, obviously, thank you for SiriusXM's support. And, you know, the guest that we have on a little bit later, there's going to be a roundtable. It's going to be a great time. It's almost like a lunchtime party with the support of all these guys, because they all represent incredibly important.
Lunchtime party. Did we bring drinks?
Well, you see my hand. You can't really see my hand, right? So they're just off screen.
This is coffee, I promise.
Yeah, this is absolutely water. But yeah, these guys represent, you know, all the big distributors that, you know, not only are our clients as far as CMA is concerned, but also important partners for you as well, for SiriusXM.
Yeah, absolutely. And really happy to have them on. So certainly looking forward to that part of the segment.
Okay, so the first part of the show, let's kind of review. I know we have a little mini presentation that we can go over because we want to send the dealers home with a strong message to think about over the holidays, especially going into 2022, about SiriusXM as an important part of your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I wanted to run through a little bit of the product roadmap, talk about what's new coming down the pipe next year. But really the takeaway, and we can move to the next slide already. the takeaway from here, and why I also want to present not just the SXV300, which I know is the flagship of the audience, right? It's all about car audio. The best integrated solution would be the SXV300 paired with a JVC, with a Kenwood, with an Alpine, with a Sony, whatever the brand it is that SiriusXM ready, the best solution possible is through the SXV300. But it doesn't end there, right? There are other options that are available through SiriusXM, and especially in the time now where, supply can be an issue on the head unit side. These are some opportunities for you to still be able to offer SiriusXM to your customers. And then if they want to upgrade to something down the road, the SXV300 is right there paired with the amazing brands that we work with. So talking a little bit on the what we call dock and play side, just really brief overview here. The Onyx EZR, which is kind of like your entry-level price point, MSRP of $99. It can go down to sometimes 50% off, but overall, this is kind of like your entry-level price point. And it gets you everything that you need to get into satellite radio. You got your presets, you got your nice split screen, so you can have your channel information on the left while browsing what's coming up and what's playing on the right. All the information that you need. Again, two things to always remember with this radio, as well as our entire assortment, is it comes with your service offer, currently of 3 months free, plus your $80 rebate that's available through this audience. Okay. The next tuner that we have available, which is the step up, is the Onyx Plus. And we call this a step up for a couple of reasons. It's only a $20 delta in regular price, but instead of 10 presets, this gives you 20 presets. It also gives you a gray color screen with album artwork on the top right. And it also gives you some additional functionalities like Tune Start. So typically when you're learning about SiriusXM and the channel lineup, you're going to set your presets. And what Tune Start does is when you're changing channels from your presets, it's going to start from the beginning of the song. And then Tune Mix, which is another cool feature, is you hit the Tune Mix button and it will play a song from each of your different favorite channels that you set as your presets. So it's kind of creating your own customized channel. But for the $20 difference, it's a great choice as a step up. And again, 3 months free, $80 rebate makes it a much easier investment to digest, especially when you factor in that $80 rebate. But what's next that I wanted to go through, which I'm really excited about, is what's coming next year. So we are going to be launching in Q1 of 2022 a radio called the Rode BT. And it's called the Rode BT. If those who've been in the industry long enough remember, back in the XM days, we had the Rode XT. This is the Rode BT. And it has a lot of similarities that you see with the Onyx Plus because it's got that beautiful color screen and album artwork. But the connectivity on this thing takes it to the next level. And if we actually go to the next slide here, we'll talk a little bit about the connectivity. So one of the things that's changed here is with our previous units, you always had the radio that sat inside the vehicle cradle or sat inside a home cradle. Well, now we've built in the technology in the chipset in the actual power adapter, and the tuner acts kind of just as the screen, but the mounting options make it much more clean and provides you with some options with some other aftermarket mounts because the back part is magnetic. So instead of it sitting in a cradle, now it's going to mount up against using either the dash mount, one that's available you see on the left, the middle, which is the vent clip mount, or, and I mean, the distributors can speak to this one. There's so many different options available from a dash mount perspective that has that magnetic functionality. So if you want to provide something to a customer that's different, that you feel is the better mount, or if the customer already has something built in as far as a magnetic mount, now they can incorporate that. But the other benefit, sorry, Ben, the other benefit here too, which we haven't been able to launch on some of these, dock and play radios here, with the exception of the next one that I'm going to show, is the Bluetooth functionality. So now the ways to connect, you have using the auxiliary cable, using the built-in FM transmitter, or now you can connect using Bluetooth, which most vehicles now have that Bluetooth capability. And I was able to test this out in my vehicle, and it connects seamlessly with my vehicle, which is a 2014. Really excited to get this one up and running next year. And because this is really a true in-vehicle experience, we're really excited to bring this forward to the dealers, especially the ones in the audience, because this allows for some integration as well. To have them run the antenna and to do a nice clean install for their customers, this certainly will be one that the dealers, we are confident that they're going to want to get behind.
A couple comments I wanted to make here, Ricky. Number one, the image on the bottom right, that's everything that's included in the kit?
Correct. Everything that's included in the kit. So you
Okay.
got all the accessories for the different ways to mount magnetically. It comes with the magnetic mount antenna, and it also incorporates, again, the main thing here is the chipset, the actual radio ID, the guts of that drives and receives the signal is built into the power adapter. So it's a little bit different, but again, it now removes that cradle. So now there's no need for an additional component to make it even bulkier.
That was my second comment. It looks so much more slick, and now you explain why it looks so much more slick, because
absolutely
it looks so much more modern, like more up to date with what technology is today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That and the fact that it's a much bigger screen. I mean, that always helps as well.
Yeah, it's a bigger screen from the Onyx Plus as well, I believe. So again, I think this is going to be an exciting one for the dealers that are listening in, because this is an opportunity for you to also be creative, with this one, and find ways to, using that magnetic portion at the back to make it seamless.
Options. Yeah, absolutely.
So really looking forward to this one. It should be launching in Q1 of 2022. And really happy. Again, this one will incorporate the same service offer. So look for this one. We will certainly be providing updates in the new year as they start to roll out. And I encourage you as a dealer to reach out to your distributors for options on how to pick up, a 6-pack of these to get started.
Very cool. Yeah, this one should be on display too, and people can touch and feel and play with. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
So the last one here from a dock and play perspective on the next slide is the tour. We've talked about this on some of the previous episodes, and why this one is important is it's important because it is a step up. It's the top dock and play radio that we have available because of all the functionality that it has. It does incorporate Bluetooth. It does have voice command when you're connected through IP, but that whole IP portion is why this makes this one so unique. Some of the newer OEM vehicles have what we call 360L technology, which is basically taking the best that SiriusXM has to offer, right? We have our satellite platform, we have our streaming platform. With 360L, everything comes together. So with one device, whether it's built in factory or using this device here, the tour radio, you can access all the satellite content and the streaming content all in one place. But why I really think it's important for us to call this one out is this is some of the technology that we can anticipate in the future, hopefully in the very near future, when you start thinking about adding SXV300s to some of the newer head units. So the next slide here really talks about our flagship, which is the SXV300. And I don't think we need to go through what the SXV300 does. I mean, I think we've done a lot of training on this. It's less about what it does. It's more about ensuring, the one takeaway that I always want a dealer to get from listening to the training that we provide is two things. One, make sure you have some in stock, because you can't sell what you don't carry. And two is make sure that this is an impulse. It's a reaction. It's something that you pitch with every single head unit that's SiriusXM ready, that is being purchased and booked for installation at your shop, because the time to do that sales pitch is right then and there. Once that head unit is installed, it's done, right? And then to have that customer come back because now they want the SXV300. You got to take the head unit out again. You're doubling up the work. But on the other side here is, take a look at these logos, right? And this is why this ties in so great to the guests that we have today, because the bulk majority of these head units, are being distributed by some of the great partners that we have in Canada. And I'm so proud to have the guests that are on today. It's not all of them, but we have such great partnerships with these distributors in Canada, and to be able to support all these amazing brands certainly is something that, again, that SiriusXM Canada is really proud of.
We're definitely going to take the opportunity and take advantage of the fact that we have these specialists and experts with us today, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper later on in our dialogue, Ricky, about the sales of it all and the technique and how and why and mathematically why this makes sense. But there's no doubt about it. I don't think anybody who's watching this broadcast by now is not aware of what an SXV300 is. Even I myself have installed one. Can you believe it? And it wasn't that hard at all. But the benefits, obviously, we're going to go through all together. And I think the key takeaway is talk about compatibility. Look at the logos down there. Like, there's so many opportunities to get in that extra sale. And I think that's what we're talking about.
Absolutely. And again, the biggest takeaway is it's all about timing, right? Make sure that think about as a dealer in a pre-COVID normal year. Think about how many SiriusXM ready head units you may have sold and installed, right? And now think about how many SXV300 you attached. And if the answer to that question is like less than 5%, then you have to start thinking about the lost revenue opportunity there.
The math is pretty easy to calculate.
Yeah, and it's, let's not be delusional here. Not every customer is going to take this add-on, right? But just let the customer say no. But if you present them the offer in the way where they truly understand the benefits of adding it now, getting your first 3 months free, getting your $80 rebate, right? So your money back basically for this device. And now you have the cleanest to and closest to a factory solution as you're going to get. As long as they understand that, then if they still don't have an appetite for SiriusXM, then at least you've done your part educating them. That's the key. That's the key here.
All right.
Yeah. So lastly, before we bring on our guests, I really wanted to talk about and just recap some of the dealer benefits and talk about something new that we are have rolled out, and will continue to optimize. But again, the importance of SiriusXM, whether you are adding an SXV300 to the installation of a SiriusXM ready head unit, or if you are adding one of our dock and play radios that I showed as part of our assortment, it's all about profitability and installation. You want to, we have the best in the industry in Canada, right? So use that to your advantage to make sure that the customer gets the cleanest installation possible, but also the profitability. Every little bit counts, especially in this, in the industry that we're in, right? You want to pitch as much as you can to increase that profitability. The supporting POS materials, we did a pretty large blitz in 2021 to send out as many materials as possible. We're in the midst of finalizing materials for 2022. Once we have all those materials ready to go, we'll probably set up some time on CMA to introduce all these materials and make sure that everything gets rolled out in time. The retailer highlights newsletter, this is something that will just keep you in the know from a programming perspective. All the new channels that we've been launching, any type of programming announcements that are relevant. This is always great because, again, content for us, content's king, right? People are not subscribing to us or buying that radio or adding the SXV300 because of the features of the radio. They're buying it because they want access to content. Content is king, okay? Showroom demo service, this has always been available and will continue to be available. If you want to take one or two tuners and plug them into the back of your, a couple of head units on your car audio wall, we provide complimentary demo service for you. And then on the associate service plan, I encourage you to reach out to your distributors, and we can provide further training on this, on how you can take advantage of our associate service plan so that you can get some complimentary service for yourself, which does include streaming as well for your phone, so that you can take that experience out of the vehicle. And lastly, sorry, not lastly, the buy-in specials. This is another big one too. And because this is the last episode of the year, we are going to be running a special on the SXV300, which you can find details through some of the CMA communities, the installer and dealer community. So if you're listening in, I encourage you to pop into one of those communities to get more details, and you can also reach out to your distributor for more details. And now, lastly, the installer listing. Back in October, we had our second last episode of CMA Connected, and we brought on, and similar to this type of format, a round table with some amazing dealers that we have in Canada. And it was an opportunity for SiriusXM, for myself and SiriusXM, to say, what can SiriusXM do different? What can we provide you to help your business, to help you get the word out and to drive more sales and installations? And one of the things that came up in that, which I believe it was Dave from Audio Warehouse that brought up, was how do we direct customers to the dealer network, the people that can do the job right, the people that can give you a clean and professional installation. And what we talked about was with an authorized dealer listing. And I'm happy to say, and if you move to the next slide, is we have this live right now. I'm not going to do a full-on interactive demo, but what I can say is if you visit SiriusXM.ca/SXV300, which is our kind of hub and landing page for everything SiriusXM, everything SXV300, we now incorporated a section for purchase and installation. So the key here for a customer that is learning more about the SXV300, now we give them an option to find a local dealer. Okay, this is not as interactive as would like it to be, but this is what I'm calling phase one. So phase one is when you click on this SiriusXM installers button, it's going to open up a PDF with about 5 pages that's sorted by province and city to make it a little bit easier for you to find the area or the territory that you're looking for. But the goal here is, beyond phase one, is to eventually create, as we expand more dealers, add more people to the list, more locations to the list, is we'll eventually want to create a more interactive one where you can actually go in through the drop downs and search by province, search by city, search by postal code. That will be phase two. But this was kind of just to get us up and running, get us something in place so that we can then grow from there. So take some time, take a look at this. I will be working with the distributors to, again, get the message out that this is now a tool that's available from a customer perspective. And it's an opportunity to, if there's anything that needs to be updated, if you're already listed in there and you want to make a change to a phone number or website, there's an email there that comes directly to me for any changes, and you can work with myself or your distributor for more details. But we do have a registration page.
I was going to say, like, what is the call to action here? Do I need, as a dealer, do I need to do something to make sure I'm a part of this?
We have this on the next. Do we have this listed on the next page, or no?
No, I don't think so. Okay,
so we will be working with our distributors to get those instructions across. We have built a registration page, which the dealers, everything that you see in this listing, all the fields will be there. So you're going to be putting in your business name, your business address, business phone number.
I'm sorry, website. Ricky. There it is. It is there. My apologies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. So if you go to SiriusXM.ca/12-vote, this will give you an opportunity to register. It highlights the benefits of the program, which is having your name listed, your business listed on our page. We talked about all the demo service and associate service plan stuff, the POS materials. We'll be running some contests and prizing throughout the year. And again, if you're already listed and you need to make a change, you can just send your email into 12.vote@SiriusXM.ca. That comes directly to me. But again, I'm very, very excited to roll this one out with our distributor team, but also giving this an opportunity to build our base and show the customers in the market what what Canada has to offer as far as some of the amazing dealers that we have, and again, just continue to grow from there.
Awesome. So 2 call to actions, folks. A dealer, if you're tuning in or you're watching this on demand, first thing you want to do, make sure you go to SiriusXM.ca/12-volt. Register for this dealer registration program. All the details will be there, and of course, the email on the bottom there, 12.volt@SiriusXM.ca. Well, for if you're already listed and you want any updates. The second call to action that Ricky had mentioned, if you're on Facebook, make sure if you're not already included in on our exclusive private dealer and installer groups on Facebook. This is where we communicate many of these deals that you'll only see in these groups. And to qualify as a dealer, it's either the owner or the buyer or somebody authorized to be in there. There's really no spam whatsoever, but we do want to keep these type of groups very private and very, dedicated for their purpose. So that's it. Those are the 2 call to actions.
Amazing.
Amazing. Ricky, listen, I got to say, sorry, took you off there. I got to say, you provided some pretty good tools. And one thing that I think is going to be an underlying part of our dialogue moving forward is there are challenges, right? Right now in inventory, in categories such as source units. SiriusXM is a content provider first and foremost before hardware. We always say this, content is king. If we can harness that, I think what you've presented here are alternatives and other solutions to problems that may come in really handy moving forward into Q1, Q2 of next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that we didn't talk about a lot, but again, because I wanted to keep it hardware and product specific, was you can always stream it on your phone as well.
Mm-hmm. Added value.
SiriusXM does have a standalone streaming service that's available too for anybody who doesn't want to have that extra piece of hardware. But at least that gets you into the category. And then once you have the availability and opportunity to get a new head unit, plug in one of these, or if you're running into and upgrade your vehicle to something new that already has it factory equipped, now you're in the game, right? Because it's very easy to swap services from one ID to the next. But yeah, it's all about the content. We want to move away from telling you this is how you listen, right? We provide the content, how you want to listen to it.
Listen to which way you want, sir or ma'am.
Listen away. Listen away.
Well, I think it's that time where our anxious guests want to come in and be a part of this conversation. These are some of our customers from the CMA side. They represent some of the biggest 12-volt distributors in Canada, and of course, our partners in distribution for SiriusXM. I'm going to go ahead and bring them on in no particular order of importance. I'll just randomly bring the first one. So this gentleman represents a brand that certainly him and I have spent I've spent quite a lot of time with every one of these gentlemen this year on screen. So let's just get that out of the way. Mr. Dave Singh representing Jamsen. Welcome, Dave. Let's go unmute. Let's unmute Dave. We're going to go out west to Alberta and hook up with our boy Justin Bond, trainer extraordinaire from BB Distribution. What's going on, Just?
How are you guys?
I'm really, really good. Thanks for making the time. Let's go to Montreal at Automobility, where we have their Director of Sales and Marketing standing by, Mr. Michael Berger. What's going on, Michael? And he, as too, will also unmute. And then we'll fly back to Toronto, where we've got
Hey, man, sorry.
Oh, domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
What's going on, Ramesh?
Good morning. Good morning.
And last but not least, we're going to fly back out to Vancouver, where Mr. McFodder is standing by at Trends Electronics. What's going on, Grant?
What's going on, gentlemen?
Wow.
I'm the only guy working here. I'm in the office. All these guys have got their fake backgrounds on. I'm actually working today.
They're already on vacation. You're the only one.
This is the real background, by the way.
Yeah.
This is not virtual.
Oh, yeah, but that's in your house, man. Come on.
First and foremost, I got to commend Ricky. Like, very few people would be able to have the what's the word I'm looking for? Influence to be able to gather such a fine cast of characters into one place at one time. So thank you, everybody, for making the time today.
Yes, thank you.
So on the menu, we are talking about SiriusXM, and we wanted to kind of have a dialogue with the distributors that distribute this stuff, because you guys are the ones that really are direct communication with the retailers, right? You guys are the ones that get the hardware into the hands of the retailer. So I can only imagine, that the questions, the support has to kind of flow from Ricky, distributors to dealers. So let's circle back to something that I was touching on earlier, which was optimizing sales. Now, we all know with the challenges these days, we have to absolutely maximize our sales every single opportunity that we get. having said that, I'm going to go to Justin to start this dialogue here. How important is it for retailers to optimize their sales by offering add-ons at the point of sale? And this, in particular situation, let's say an SXV 300. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that, Justin.
I mean, so I would say that first off, one of the biggest problems we have in our industry is failure to deliver on an OEM spec. So, for example, you can't sell somebody a $1,500 radio and tell them, yeah, you're going to get this, but you're going to lose this, right? It's a compromise. You know, when people purchase vehicles, they purchase new vehicles, they look at what they're buying. Even if they're not going to use it, they're buying it because it has that. So I think it's super important, and it's really key to offer things like this, but especially at the time of sale, to not let it kind of be the last resort of the customer. Oh, well, yeah, I have a Sirius subscription. Can we put that in? Right? You know, it's at the time of the sale or the time of the install, this attachment, you know, like Ricky said, so many vehicles come with a factory SiriusXM antenna, right? Cutting down your install time. The dash is ripped apart. You know, it's just nothing but added value and savings, and then it's higher tickets for your company, right? And you know, Sirius has always been such a good partner. You know, they want you to use the service, right? So when they're giving you 3 months free to put this in, if you've never had Sirius, you know, and you get that 3 months free, there's a reason trial periods work, right? Because, you know, sometimes you don't know exactly what you want until you have it and you lose it.
Totally, it's one of those
That's
things.
A great point.
That's a great point.
It's RBIs, right? It's you know, sure, you want to do a $10,000 stereo every single time, but $100 pieces add up pretty quick too, right? So
100%. Now I'm going to go to Ramesh to expand on this dialogue. We're talking about optimizing the point of sale, putting on the add-ons. I've been on so many of these things, and I've heard people say, you know, it's a great idea to maybe even come up with a script whereby if you know you're going to serve a customer for a certain category, make sure you check off those boxes in the pitch. I'd like to hear, like, what advice do you have to make sure you're always optimizing that sale?
I mean, best practices are just that. Are best practices. Justin hit it on the head as far as you know, really trying to understand where the consumer is coming from. In cases, you know, you may have a vehicle that did come originally with factory satellite radio on a you know a bonus subscription. So understanding where the consumer is coming from really takes you a long way into being able to present it at the beginning. Right, like one of the things we always talk about in, you know, and we're breaking down sales, I think, but you know, it's more of a service thing to the consumer is, you know, before we start yakking, let's figure out where the consumer's at, what they're looking for. Obviously, you know, they may come in and just be asking for satellite radio, but in a lot of cases, if you're doing a radio replacement, like Justin was suggesting, or, you know, they may come in and they're looking to replace the radio because they're trying to get satellite radio, and they may not realize that we have options in the aftermarket where we're able to use the SXV and integrate it into the factory system. So to answer your question directly is, at the beginning of the sale, if we ask the right questions, we can then present it in a way that the consumer's already on board with.
Excellent.
Right.
Now, you know, we're talking about qualifying the customer. This is a great segue to where I want to go with this, because, you know, let's not put that SiriusXM potential customer in a box. Now, you know, Ricky, we didn't really talk about this, but I'm going to bring this up now. You talk about qualifying the customer. Well, the customer could be someone that's in a regular vehicle that goes to work in traffic. Yeah, sure, that's what we think about. But what about marine? What about power sports? What about motorcycle customers? Ricky, I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, and it's a reason why we partner from an aftermarket perspective with some of these great brands that offer, you know, SiriusXM ready head units for your boat or for your four-wheeler or for your motorcycle, right? Like Rockford's got a great lineup to support and integrate with SiriusXM. So for that reason, there's different ways that you can get it in, you know, outside of the vehicle, using it in some of these other categories. I mean, you can stream it on your phone, but if you want that satellite option and not have to worry about pulling out your phone and using up your data plan, especially the farther north you go, right? You may lose that reception. But because we're satellite delivered, you're going to be able to continue that experience, especially like in your boat on the water. So, we have various options, whether it's through the S6300, enabling your SiriusXM ready device, whatever it is, or using an aftermarket solution like the ones that the dock and play radios that we provided. The Rode BT is a great option, right? Because the magnetic mount will make it nice and clean, and obviously the streaming component side. So various ways that we can get SiriusXM in those different categories. The one thing that I do want to add, which is I think a relevant one to talk about because we live in Canada, is what we talked about with marine and with power sports is, depending on where you live, can be quite seasonal. And some of the challenges that you have or the feedback you may get from a customer is, I don't want to install this in my boat if it's only going to be in the water for 6 months out of the year.
Right.
And that's why it's important to understand that SiriusXM has seasonal suspend programs for those customers, that if they want to only pay for their service for 6 months out of the year, we can automate that for you so that you can shut it off, and in 6 months it's automatically going to come back on. And we can make adjustments from there through our call center if need be. But we have that option because we identified that people aren't going to want to pay for a year's worth of service if they're only using it for 6 months out of the year.
That's a very important piece of information, especially at the sale level, because you need to know that immediately if the customer is concerned. So I'm going to go to Grant here from Trends. A lot of your business is based on dealing with dealers in these categories, right? Power sports, outdoor, marine. So how does where's that conversation going now with those dealers with SiriusXM?
Well, I mean, we're not in the traditional head unit business like like we're not in the Kenwood and the Pioneer and the Alpine, the car radio situations, but with brands like we have Aquatic AV, which make great products for Harley Davidson vehicles, marine head units as well. MTX makes power sports products, and then Wet Sounds for marine and power sports. They're all compatible with SiriusXM. So when Ricky approached us, it was a no-brainer thing. It's an easy add-on for us while we're selling the head unit. But like you were mentioning as well, Ricky, that a lot of these guys are in their boats in the lake. They could be up in the mountains somewhere where there is no good radio reception. So what are you going to listen to? Well, yeah, your Bluetooth, sure, but SiriusXM is a great. But I would like to when I like on my buddy's boat, we like to use the neutral channel, so we're not segregating from what everyone's favorite channel is. We've got something that's neutral for everybody to listen to. So that was, when we were asked to come on board, it was a no-brainer. We've got it, why not attach it to on our end? And the seasonal suspension thing is a great thing to bring up. And like you said, it's important that dealers know that that's available because it will come up.
Yeah, and the other thing that just to touch on this too. So thanks for that feedback, Grant. But also, if somebody's got an account in their vehicle and they're adding a second device for their boat, it's also important to remind them to make sure that they add it to the same account, because additional radios on an existing account can be added, and it goes on what we call our multi radio discount or family plan discount, but then you get a reduced rate for the additional units that you add on the same account. So it's important that not only you can take advantage of our seasonal suspend program, but you can also take advantage of a reduced rate.
Very, very cool. I want to give an opportunity to Dave, who's also representing Jemson, who's kind of also recently come on board with the SiriusXM distribution. Also in a similar situation where it's very niche type targeted product. I'd like to see how the SXM product and service kind of plays into your whole strategy to your dealers.
Well, thanks, Ben. Much like Grant, we play a lot in the power sports, marine market. We have brands like JL Audio, Kicker, Clarion, and some other brands that are used in these applications. The thing about boats and power sports and all that, they're all pleasure vehicles. You're going out, you're having a good time, that sort of thing. And when you're out in a boat, you want to play your music loud. You want to have the best music quality as possible. Going with a FM radio isn't necessarily the best way. And like you guys said, data on your phone is a challenge. You don't necessarily want to be using up your data. Plus, it's nice to be able to just tune into a genre of music for depending on the time of the day, and not have to fiddle with your phone trying to find the next good song. that you want to listen to. You can throw it on Pitbull, you can throw it on, Cruisin' or whatever it is, and away you go. So we are seeing a lot of success, with our dealers that are purchasing marine source units and bundling that with the SiriusXM because it enhances the whole relaxation, entertainment, having a good time side of things.
I'm going to make a comment to what Dave just said. I'm thinking relaxing summer, and it seems so far away with us in the middle of winter. But one of the last things as a boat owner myself that you want to fiddle with is source. And dude, I just want to play music. I'm here. I worked all week. I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. I just wanted to play and blast loud. That's all I'm thinking about, to get to the beach where I can beach it. And you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a scenario where you want to fiddle.
It's like a guy. It's like a guy doing a demo. He pulls out his phone and he takes 10 minutes to try to find that track. Oh, hang on, let me find it. It's somewhere or whatever. Put it down, relax,
or you can just tune into.
I put Pitbull on and we're going. We're driving.
Or you got Kenny Chesney's No Shoes Radio.
Exactly.
Yacht Rock Radio.
Dave Singh's a big Aussies Boneyard guy.
We know this already.
Great
Yes. Mr. Berger, I'm going to lean on you for this following question because we're trying to figure out different advantages and equip dealers with as many tools as possible. How important now, since launching this new ways to listen, right, with Sirius? Because before it was just like you had to have the tuner. Now you got the phone, the app. How important is that as an incentive to express to customers now with SXV 300 and so on?
Important. Myself, I use the app more around in my car. I use the app connected to car. I use the OE system because I get from the app.
Hold on a second, Mike. Are you guys hearing him a little bit slow on the audio? Do me a favor, Michael. Can you disconnect and come right back in, and I'll circle back with you with that question. I just want you to get a better connection, please. All right. We'll get Michael to reconnect.
I think that was a drunk Max Headroom in the background.
There's definitely a Max Headroom.
I was thinking Max Headroom.
Yeah, thing that's going on there.
Yeah. So many things going in my brain right now, and this is gonna be archived, right?
Yeah, for sure. We can watch this back 100%. Ricky, I'm gonna go to you until Mike gets back with us because that was an important question I want Mike to answer. But SXV 300 could be added in so many categories. I don't want people watching this to think, it's only going to be when I put in the highest end Sony radio or the highest end Ken. Dude, that's not the case. Customers are coming in most of the time not necessarily wanting the highest end unit, but rather looking for functionality and features. So I'd like to hear what you have to say about that, Ricky.
What's the question? The
question is, how important is it? How important is it that SXV 300 can be added to almost the entire gambit of the catalog when it comes to, let's say, source units, for example? It's not just the highest end model that has SXV ready or SiriusXM ready feature. A lot of times, even the entry level model can take it.
Yeah, everybody is going into a dealer with some form of budget in their brain, right? Whether they just want to get something in, to replace a head unit that's small, like a single DIN, or if they want to go top level, right? The beauty is SiriusXM is able to, with the SXV 300, integrate into the entire gambit at a small entry level price. If you're paying $80 for the radio, and we're going to give you $80 back after 60 days of service, and we're going to give you your first 3 months of platinum service for free, it's a no-brainer. But that value fits within the entire spectrum, right? So again, that's why it's all the one thing you don't want to do as a dealer or anybody in the sales situation is pre-qualify a customer, right? And this is something that we talked about this last week, Ben, that I really thought was really powerful, was top-down selling, right? Don't pre-qualify a customer just because they might be buying a lower-end single DIN head unit. Maybe they're buying that single DIN head unit because that's what they wanted or because that's what fits within their vehicle, right? Just present them with everything that is available within, and it's not just SiriusXM. It's whatever the dash mounts, whatever it may be, anything, dash cams or you want to present the full spectrum and not pre-qualify any customer, because you never know.
And that's part of optimizing the sale. How can you optimize a sale if you're limiting yourself to a preconceived notion? Right. Michael, thanks.
You could go from $300 sale to $600 or $700 sale just by presenting them with everything that's available.
Thank you, Mike, for reconnecting. Let's hear your audio. How you doing?
Is that better?
Much better. Okay, let's get back to the question at hand. And the question was, how can retailers take advantage of this new Ways to Listen campaign? Because for me, it seems like a huge advantage and incentive.
Yeah, so like I was saying, when I listen to SiriusXM in my car, I use the app through CarPlay, and first of all, I get much more information through the CarPlay app than I get through the factory OE system, and it looks much prettier than my OE system does. So I use that typically. Plus, I can switch through, when the phone call comes in and everything like that. Just much more convenient for me. I also use the app. If I'm, at the cottage on the dock, sitting there listening to a boombox, I can if I don't like that song, I can fast forward through the app. So you're not just limited to the subscription that the subscription's tied to hardware wise. You can take it anywhere you go and use it. Basically, you can stream it on any other Bluetooth device or even in your vehicle, as I was mentioning. So I think that's a huge advantage that I use all the time.
And I think those are the same examples that should be used on the sales floor when describing, these advantages to customers, because maybe they didn't know.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't even know yet. It's kind of new still, right?
So as Dave and Grant were mentioning, on the power sports and marine side, you can plug your phone into the head unit and stream it through there. So there's tons of possibilities and other avenues you can enjoy the SiriusXM with the one subscription that you have.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Justin, I'm going to lean on you for this next question here. And this question has to do with what's going on right now. I think everybody here and everybody's listening is aware that there's some challenges with some inventory in the source unit category, right? I think obviously, we're not going to dwell on that. What we're always trying to be on the up and up about is solutions and alternatives. So the question is, do you feel that this type of product or service that SSM is providing can be leveraged as an alternative source for head units right now? Nope, you're on mute, Just. Hold on.
Absolutely, because even though there's a head unit shortage, there are head units around, and whether or not they're SXM ready is the question. So, I live in the flatlands of Alberta, and you would not believe the amount of people driving, farming equipment that want SiriusXM. They can't get real FM reception. They can barely get AM reception where they are in their
field
feeders or whatever. And
obviously, Justin's not a farmer.
Yeah, I don't farm. The closest thing to farming is the grocery store for me. Gotcha. So, but we get all these things, and that's where the standalones and that's a huge viable option for that. And it's super simple. The 12-volt source that they have and whatever radio that's in there, it can pick up, and you can use. Obviously, if the direct connect's not available, you can use the FM signal from the box itself. So yeah, it's not. We're gonna unfortunately be talking about this head unit shortage for potentially a while, but that shortage, like you guys have said, has really kind of brought to life this whole other solution, because we're solution based, right? 12 volts is, aside of excitement and better speakers, the other part of our industry is 100% solution based. This guy's vehicle came with it. Mine doesn't have this. How do I fix it? Right. So having the shortage of head units and having the vast offerings that Sirius has on the phone, having the standalone units or the OEM integration, like Ramesh touched on, there's so many more ways than just limited to plugging an SXV into a vehicle, right? There's and the ability to deliver the information is also, it's so continuous, and you're not geographically restricted like you are with all other signals. You know, we rely on our phones so much right now. You know, the number one thing that people do the least right now with their cell phones is call people, right? So, you know, when you're driving through the mountains and your phone goes down and you are streaming your Spotify or your Apple Music, or you have this and you forgot to download a song, or you're out of space, whatever, you know, Sirius is usually there to pick up that slack to make it more enjoyable. And at the end of the day, they're delivering knowledge, right? And that's what everyone is thirsty for.
And that's one thing that previous SiriusXM users definitely cherish. You know, if you're on the road, if you travel and you have to go see customers and you have to go through great distances, sometimes in the country or in the mountains or whatever that situation may be, man, 9 times out of 10, Sirius will have that signal. Whereas you're going to be for hours sometimes with nothing. And we've all been in that situation because we've all, you know, done the drive. Ramesh, I'm going to go back to you. You know, we're talking about alternative solutions, you know, trying to shift the mentality a little bit about dealers. Okay, we get it. You don't have this category. Would you recommend stocking up on some of these standalone units? Because, you know, you and I spend a lot of time talking about OEM integration. Man, it doesn't get easier to integrate than with one of these standalone units from Sirius.
Standalone units, you know, SXV is tied in with, you know, some of the other brands that we distribute into the factory radio. You know, trying to replace radios right now, like you said, is a dog's breakfast, but we have a ton of solutions out there. So having them on your shelf so that when you're determining the customer's needs and trying to figure out where you can go and find a happy medium to address the need and the price and the installation and all the different, you know, aspects that the salespeople have to go through. But for the consumer is once you've got there and then you go into your stock room and you look at it and you go, geez, I have to get that in and call the guy back in and tomorrow, day after, whatever. In a lot of cases, we have installations that are not hugely time consuming. And again, it depends on the vehicle, but there are some of them that you can kind of, hey, do you want me to drop you off at the local shopping mall, do some Christmas shopping in a couple hours? We'll come and get you, or whatever it is, right? With COVID, you know, there's some other aspects or whatever, but you can kind of jam some of those jobs in because some of those remote starters this time of year or whatever go really, you know, go faster than they're booked in for. And this is just all extra, you know, extra volume, extra sales, and more happy customers and people not booking three weeks out. But you have to have the product. If you don't have the product, then you're kind of stuck, right? Like you did all the work and now you can't close the sale. And the customer now walks out and then they may go spend that money on a new iPhone or whatever they're
can't sell what you don't carry.
Right.
Can't sell what you don't carry.
Sell what's available today, SWAT. Right?
So let's be clear, Ricky. All these great distributors here on the screen will always have SXV and standalone units ready to ship.
Yep. And obviously the core focus is on the SXV 300 side because that is you know, the key piece to this industry. But they have full access to both sides of the spectrum, whether it's SXV or whether it's on the dock and play side. And like I said, looking forward to Q1, you know, hopefully nothing changes, but Q1 to be able to launch the Rode BT, which I think is going to be a great one for this industry because it will allow for the best in-vehicle dock and play experience. It's not even dock and play anymore, right? It's just play, right? Just, I don't even want to call it stick and play, but
Stick and play.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. The distributors on and a couple of other partners that we also work with will certainly have them available. And I encourage you to play both sides because again, you never know. Somebody may take this solution and then when they had their heart set on a head unit that they really wanted, they will upgrade down the road. And then it's just taking the SXV 300 radio ID and the radio ID from that dock and play radio and calling in or going online, managing your own account, swapping services, and you're done.
I want to just take this moment to kind of recap what we learned here today with these guests. So, you know, Dave was talking about how things have to be easy and it's about fun and in the time. And man, there couldn't be something easier than having a connection in especially your power sports or your marine. And Ricky, you mentioned the seasonal aspect to it, whereby you can, you know, ask Sirius to kind of block you out for 6 months and come back again in the spring. You know, Grant, opening your eyes. You know, don't just think about the typical car customer. motorcycle customer, power sports customer, marine customer, RV customer, and then going to what Justin said about the country, the rural aspect of things, or workers like farmers or any other category where literally this could be their only option that they may not even know about yet unless you show it to them. And then Ramesh talking about, having in stock the opportune time to pitch it. It has to be, proper probing equals, optimizing the sale. And that's incredibly important. And Michael obviously bringing to the point where, dude, Sirius has literally given you every tool, every incentive, every possibility to sell this through, because now the one limitation of being in the vehicle, that's now kiboshed, because now you can enjoy it every which way from Sunday by the pool, at the tiki bar, or at the cottage. I think we've summed up. That's kind of what we learned. Guys, we're pretty much out of time. While I have you guys all on, Dave, Justin, Ramesh, Grant, and Michael, and obviously to every other distributor who is not on right now, I want to personally thank you guys for all the time that I bugged you for, all that backstage practice, all the research for every shows. I mean, some of you have just spent so much time with me. And I just want to take this moment and say thank you, not only for this show, but for all the other shows that we've done this year, guys. So thank you so much.
Well, same back with you, man. You guys did a great format, and it's the dealers certainly seem to like it a lot. And thank you to our main sponsor of this format, Mr. SiriusXM.
How else can we get all you crazy guys all together in one place at one time? So, guys, on that note, Dave, Justin, Ramesh, Grant,
thank you, Ricky,
Mike, happy holidays, and we'll see you in 2022.
See you guys.
Looking forward to it.
Take care.
Hey, guys.
Everybody.
Stay safe, everybody.
So there you have it. That was Mike from Automobility, Ramesh from Importel, Grant McFadden from Trends, Justin from BB, and Dave Singh representing Gems, and Ricky. Getting emotional because I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, we're at the last little bit. God, I gotta say thank you. Also, shout out to all our listeners. These guys,
that's the one thing that I will say, Ben, is not only, have we produced something that's fantastic, they cannot be substituted, and it's given a voice to the distributors, to the brands, and to the dealers, especially now that we're bringing on some of these dealers through roundtable sessions.
They're getting more involved. We're giving them a voice, a platform.
The interaction,
right? Mm-hmm.
You can see in the views, and you can see in the engagements, the interaction that the dealers have when the training session is going on, and there's a relevant question, it gets answered right then and there.
Mm-hmm. So and if they missed it, even if they weren't live, it's in the comments.
Yeah.
So and that follows, right?
The brands and the distributors are doing also a great job of being interactive with that session and being able to answer either real time or down the road. They'll make sure that dealer knows what they need. Ricky, last words for 2021. I'll leave it to you. You have the mic. I'm tired. It's been an amazing year with its challenges. But you can't dwell so much on the challenges because, I hate to say it, because it sounds so cliche, but it is what it is, right? There's no sense in crying over spilled milk. You have to, we've done, I think, a great job as an industry dealing with the current environment. But I see light at the end of the tunnel. I see it's going to take some time, but we will see things getting back to normalized state. But the fact that the car audio industry and this aftermarket industry as a whole, the resurgence is so promising because, again, we have such amazing dealers in this country that can do amazing work. And SiriusXM is really, really wants to help with highlighting all that. And, I really, really look forward to 2022, not only with CMA, not only with the distributors and the dealers, but, just being able to bring all our subscribers, the best of what SiriusXM has to offer. Amazing. We're signing off, man. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. We could not obviously have done this without you. SiriusXM is obviously a critical pillar to everything we do. And without spilling too many beans, I think we've got some cool stuff coming out for 2022 that we'll be able to share a little bit later on. But on that note, thank you so much, Ricky. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being on today. And I guess happy holidays, and we'll see you in 2022. Thanks, Ben. Take care, everyone. Well, on that note, I'm going to pull up my phone because this is my opportunity on behalf of CMA to say a few words because this is our last broadcast for 2021. When we started this thing, we were trying to fix a situation that quickly evolved into other things. And now we feel like
maybe we just might have created something that the entire industry can benefit from. We want to thank all our sponsors, our distributors, the manufacturers, everybody involved in creating this content and getting this information out so that really our audience, who are the dealers, benefit from this information, benefit from these broadcasts, benefit from these trainings to help optimize and maximize your business, because really that's what it's all about. Of course, we got to thank SiriusXM being our title sponsor and our partner, and of course to Ricky Lima. I also want to give acknowledgement to the team. You know, you always see me, I'm always the guy in the front, but there's so many people behind me that make these shows happen, whether it's logistics planning, our social media posts, our video graphics, or editing, or graphic design, the research, the planning, the program, all that stuff involves a whole bunch of people. So I would just want to take a moment to say thank you to them. Obviously to Frank Spizzano, who's our executive producer. Frank and I have known each other so long. We put this together. He's the yin and the yang. I want to say shout out to Sheldon Hatch, who many of you have met. He's our behind the stage. He helps produce stuff like our Industry Week videos, as well as our CMA Lives, which, you know, are elevated productions, which require his help and guidance. Shout out to Marcella Leo, who is literally like our backbone. She does so much of our social media, our organizing, our stuff behind the scenes that, you know, that piece everything together. And to our expansion team that is joining us as we speak to bring us into 2022. We've enjoyed building this platform, creating content not only to learn and to train ourselves, but to feed the passion that we all have, and that is for 12-volt electronics. So on that note, I want to thank everybody once again. We cannot wait to see you in 2022. We've got a lot up our sleeve. We've got some evolution going on. We've got some new and exciting projects, but we'll all connect back in 2022 and tell you all about it. So on that note, on behalf of everybody here at CMA, I'm your host, Ben Wu. This is CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. Until 2022, when we connect.
Hey, y'all. Can we change up the chores?
Sorry. It's up to the wheel, man.
Oh, yeah?
Hey, change the channel back.
Sorry, it's up to the wheel.